folks, and welcome back. I've snuck to the allotment. I'm not really meant to be here, and it's the start of a bank holiday weekend. Well, it is for any of my UK watchers anyway. If you're over in America, I apologise. You guys aren't so lucky with the old holidays, but yeah, start of the bank holiday weekend, and we've got family coming to stay, so I'm meant to be helping out with the house. But I told Jess I've just got to go to the allotment to fix my auto vent, and that's where things have started to go wrong. I think today I'm going to be showing you one or two things that have gone wrong. So literally the post arrived today with a replacement tube for the auto vent, and I came down and it looks like the vent has just decided to fix itself. It's not actually crazy warm in here. You can see the other louver vent has just closed up. And it's a really funny day today. In the sun, it is absolutely baking, but as soon as you're in the shade, it is properly cold. It's actually freezing. So everything pretty much looks the same in the greenhouse, although let me show you little Steve again. Steve the cucumber is not looking good. I realised when I was editing my last episode, I didn't actually dwell on little Steve for too long. But if this pulls through, if this survives, I think it will be a miracle. Honestly, feels like it's on its way out. Not sure if it was the hot or the cold, but we'll see. You never know. You know, stranger things have happened. I just cannot believe the vent has fixed itself. It's absolutely typical, isn't it? I mean, bailiffs were really good. As soon as I said there was a problem, I just sent them one picture and they said, don't worry, there's a replacement in the post. So you can't fault that for customer service, but it's just classic. It's only 25 degrees in the greenhouse at the moment. But anyway, bank holiday weekend, normally a brilliant time to get stuck in the garden and get loads done, but unfortunately, like I said, we've got some family coming to stay, so I think I'm going to be a little bit preoccupied, but there's still loads to show you. There's loads and loads, because I've been down here every day this week. It's all about momentum for me. It seems to be, as soon as I lose momentum, it starts to go, oh God. But if I can keep the momentum up, it's just beautiful, and I love walking up here every day and getting those steps in. It's just so good. I actually nearly forgot about this. I was going to walk straight past it. Oh, firstly, look at this little tulip. This just popped out of nowhere the other day, and it looks a bit funny on its own, doesn't it? It would be much nicer if they were in a cluster. But I planted like a few of these at some point. I don't know, it was completely the wrong season. I found a bag of Jess's bulbs and they looked so sad. So I just stuck some in all over the plot. Most of them didn't come up. I saw this just the other day and I did a little, oh my God. So that's nice. But behind it, that's what I wanted to show you. This is a little area where I think I'm going to do peas again. So this is netting for the peas to grow up. And it's always been a bit of a pain, a bit rubbish. Things didn't grow too well in there last year. So what I've done is I've given that L-shaped bed a really good mulch with horse manure. I've kind of forked it in as well. And then I've laid a nice bit of cardboard and wood chip mulch along here to create a path so that this is actually accessible, because before it was just a bit of a nightmare and I'd always be arguing with the apple trees. So I've given this a nice trim back and we've just got a proper growing area here now. It looks much, much nicer. And just down here, this is where I've put that honeysuckle that I showed you in a recent video, and I'm hoping that will trail up this kind of scaffolding structure and look quite nice. Under here, I've just realised that I've actually accidentally apparently buried one of the supporting wires, so that's not good. But it does kind of highlight just how much manure and good stuff I've put down here. And this is where it's actually like perfect spacing for that gutter of peas that I've got. Yeah, they should just slot in quite nicely and then hopefully trail up this. I should be putting those in pretty soon. It's been so nice. I've just been doing all these kind of little and often jobs, coming up for a couple of hours after work. It's the season for it, isn't it? It's just wonderful. And it's been a while, but I have finally done a bit of stuff on the new plot. And the main thing is here, look. Wood chip looks so good. It always looks so good. It's so easy to see, oh yeah, he's done something there. When you just kind of weed and you don't mulch or anything like that, it just doesn't look as good. But hopefully you can see what used to be completely choked by weeds is now all free and easy. These raspberry canes have got a bit more life, a bit more room to live, and they're not going to get so choked out by all the grasses. I actually spent a really long time trying to think and deliberate about what to do with these. I don't think they're in the right place, and I think the same is true of this bed behind me. There are strawberries all throughout all of this as well, and I was digging up little bits of strawberries. I took out quite a few raspberry canes that were kind of encroaching into the wrong place. I've bunged them all in some pots for now. I've got no idea if they're going to survive. Not the best time of year to be digging things up, and that is why I have left most of these for now. The plan is I'm going to dig all of these up and eventually create one big growing space behind me. But I just thought for this season it's probably better to just leave it as it is, because I think most of these canes would have been really negatively impacted. And I think it just makes sense, doesn't it? You know, the big urge is for me to rip all of this out and start from scratch, but I don't think that would have been very sensible. It's so good to have another bit of this new plot worked and ready. I do need to get in behind me, and I must admit, this was not fun. I had to weed all of this grass by hand and try and dig out as many of the grass roots as possible. It took quite a long time, but one of those nice Zen tasks where you switch your brain off and just get stuck in. So this is the good news on the plot. Unfortunately, there is one bit of bad news. It's really embarrassing. And that is the onions, which I've shown a few times recently and been like, hey, look at this looks so great. And I really got in and had a bit of a closer look yesterday and realised that actually, maybe not. Because once you start to get your eye in, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells missing just in these 2 rows. And I'm not sure if they've been picked out. In some places, it's very obvious that they've been picked out because there's massive holes where the onion used to be. But in other places, what I've noticed is it's actually nearly impossible to show you on camera. But what has happened is where I've done these no-dig beds, basically in a couple of places, I didn't do a good enough job of squishing down the cardboard. I think I should have put a bit more water on and spent a bit more time squishing it down, you know, standing on it, trampling it, because there's a few bits where basically, I don't know why I find it so funny, but there's just like a big void under the cardboard. And what's happened is I've put the onion in and then it's just gone into like the void, you know, and like you just see this tiny little bit of green poking out, and it looked okay at first because I guess they were sat on the cardboard, but as the rain has worked that down, there's quite a few gaps in the onions, but that's a bit of a lesson learned when it comes to making no-dig beds, I think. Oh, and look at this. I mentioned that the plantain, oh, the grass is wet. I've just put my knee down and it's soaked. Okay, found a drier spot, but I was mentioning that these weeds in the shallots are really, you know, coming up through the no-dig bed, and I'm pretty sure that's a ribwort plantain. And I'm not kidding you, just yesterday I pulled all of these up and they're growing back so quickly. They're really strong. So that's not ideal. Maybe I should have done a slightly thicker layer of cardboard, but hey, it's lessons learned with no dig, isn't it? I'm still pretty happy with it. It was such a big area that we were able to convert relatively quickly. I'm just picking off the tops because I feel like I could try and get the roots out, but cause so much disturbance and probably break the cardboard loads and then let loads more weeds come through. So it's a bit frustrating, but not the end of the world, and much better than having a whole bed full of weeds. A little while back, I was talking to one of the neighbours who was looking at me walking around with my camera. They were like, people honestly watch you? People watch you do things like this? Watching you weed? It made me stop and think, yeah, people do watch me do this. And not only do they stop and watch me do this, some of them subscribe to me on Patreon. A very special thank you to all my Patreon backers, and especially my chili pepper tier backers. Tony, Pam, Louise, Michael, Bill, and Louise. Did I say Louise twice? Who did I forget? I feel like I forgot someone. We'll get there. It's getting better. As well as everything else I've showed you, I have been doing a little bit of work on here as well. I mean, you know, it still looks like an utter mess, but we are getting there. I've got loads and loads of trimmings, tree clippings and that kind of thing in here, eventually for burning. And my thinking is that I'm going to move the raspberry canes to here. I was not sure about it for a while, but I think this just makes a really natural point for it next to the kind of wildflower meadow. And I'm going to pull up all these slabs, and if I didn't have to leave, if I hadn't snuck away today, that's probably what I'd be doing. We've still got loads of tools and cardboard and all that stuff. No sign of any potatoes yet, but that's not entirely surprising, is it? Oh, there's one other thing. There is one other thing that I've seen, which is really stupid. Down here, just next to the broad beans, you can see there's 2 lines there, isn't there? And that's exactly the sort of thing that looks like it should have a wooden board on top of it, because I've done it. I've sown some carrots. If you're a long-time viewer, you'll know that it's completely pointless me sowing carrots. They are my absolute nemesis crop. They never grow well for me. They very rarely germinate. I did have a comment saying that those potato buckets are quite a good way to grow carrots, so I might try that. But everyone was talking about carrots yesterday in our Potty Mouth chat, and I just thought, you know what? I've got some spare seed. Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed, we will see. It always makes me laugh, at least, trying carrots. You know, it'll put a smile on my face just because it feels futile, if nothing else. Thank you ever so much for watching this super quick little update. I've got to rush home, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.